Welcome back, DNA Strand crew, to the newest episode of the Dynasty DNA Deep Dive here on the Dynasty DNA Podcasting Network. I'm your host, TJ Blake. You can follow me over on the X Machine at FFTJ Blake DNA. And as always, for the Dynasty DNA Deep Dive, we're joined by the guy that has more culture in his shorts than Cleveland, Washington, and all them teams combined. And should I say the Las Vegas Raiders? It is the one and only Big Culture Bob Helfert. You can follow him over on Twitter at Big E Fat Bob. Bob, the day you dreaded, the 2026 draft class is upon us. We're doing a way too early rookie mock draft. I know that you just can't wait. You just like trade all the picks, right? Burn the boats.
That's right. Instant death in this draft. There's not anybody that I'm excited about. Not for what you'd have to pay for them and the values you can get with the picks. You'll hear what I have to say.
All right. So we can't wait for that. We're also joined by the guy whose team is still in the running here in the NFC Championship game. I'm happy for him. Good friend of mine, Noah Hutchinson, the Sliminator, Dynasty DNA's own Real Slim Shady. You can follow him over on Twitter at the 12th Man Fantasy 1. Slim, the Seattle Seahawks rocking and rolling. You got one game and you're into the Super Bowl. You excited, I'm sure, my friend.
Oh man, I'm living on cloud nine at this point. Like we're recording this on Sunday right after we just seen a nice BTA, nice belt to ass of the 49ers. I think it only took Seattle 13 seconds to score more points than the 49ers did all game. So that's an impressive stat. Anytime you kick it off with a kick return touchdown and you would lead the rest of the game, and it's just a nice cruise to the NFC Championship game. And I would like to see the Bears probably. I think they're the easier team, and then I get to talk shit to Wiz too. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Either way, I'm confident. Seattle Super Bowl. Here we come.
All right. Well, we know that a lot of people pulling for Slim. We'll see what happens. It's definitely going to be interesting. But today, fellas, we just mentioned at the start of the show, it's a way too early 2026 rookie mock draft, Superflex tight end premium. Look, there's all kinds of players that are all over this board. I mean, we talked about it a little bit pre-show. Is there really a clear-cut number one opportunity for Mendoza? Is it going to be Jeremiyah Love? This is our first opportunity to really introduce some of these prospects to our listeners getting ready for their rookie drafts, right? So this is very important that we bring up some of these names because you'll be hearing them over the next few months. We will begin the film process really soon, which we'll all be able to tell, do we really like this player this much? Maybe we don't like him so much. Maybe we didn't like him coming into the process before the film, and now we do like him, right? A lot can change, so we can't wait to jump into the film. That's one of our trademarks here at Dynasty DNA that we love to do, and we have a really good hit rate on. But let's get into it right now. Sliminator with the 101. He was the guy that had the unlucky fortune of picking 101. Is it going to be Mendoza? Is it going to be Love? Is he back and forth? Slim, 101 in this way too early rookie mock draft, Superflex tight end premium. You're on the clock. Who are you taking and why? Explain it to us and we'll talk about it.
Yeah. So I mean, figuring in that it's super flex and whatnot. I mean, it all depends on team roster and how you feel. But I mean, I like Mendoza as a player, I really do, but fantasy-wise, I'm just not sure he's gonna be enough to put me over the hump, especially in year 1, going to a probably the Raiders at this point is where he's mocked in everywhere, and, I mean, the Raiders outside of Brock Bowers, they don't have a lot of weapons to receive the ball. I love Ashton Genty, but they gotta do a lot of work with that team, and, I mean, I think for that reason, I think I'm gonna double down, especially last year if you followed me taking Ashton Genty. If you somehow ended up with a 101 again, I think I'm gonna double down. I'm gonna take Jeremiyah Love. Love the running backs, man. I mean, you know me, I built my team through running backs, and this is a guy that I'm, no pun intended, in love with. Real powerful runner, man, and I really think that he's got what it takes to be a lead NFL back. Um, 6 foot, man. He's just, it's a nice balance. He came from Notre Dame, so big culture here is not going to be able to shit on that he's not played any talent because he has 1,300 yards. in 2025, almost 1,400 yards. He's averaging almost 7 yards a carry, 18 touchdowns. I mean, he's a receiving back too out of the backfield. Not a lot, but he has some hands. He can do some catching out of the backfield. I just think he's a really well balanced running back, man. And I think that if you put him in your running back room, I think you've got a, a definitely an RB2 on any team. And, he could sneak up to being a fantasy RB1 in his first year, I feel like.
Okay, let me say this, Slim. Like we talked a little bit about this pre-show, right? And you are absolutely correct. There's going to be a lot of people in certain drafts that need different things. Maybe they already have some of their quarterbacks situated, right? Maybe you're lucky enough to have Drake May. You got a younger team. Maybe you have a veteran guy there as well. So you might want to go with Jeremiyah Love. I have no problem with that, just based off the fact that I think he is probably the safest player in this draft not to bust. Let me just say that. Like, I don't know, maybe he doesn't hit that fabled ceiling we all wish that some of these guys would, but I just think he's a safe player. And to be honest, I think he's an all around better player, in my opinion, than even Ashton Jenney was coming out last year. Like, if I'm looking at a running back, like a bell cow true type of running back, Jeremiyah loves that guy. He's a great catcher of the football, runs really well between the tackles. He's just the kind of guy that you wouldn't take off the field very much, right? So I like Jeremiyah Love from that perspective. Bob, okay, just coming over here to you because I'm just curious. If you were sitting at 101 right now in Slim's shoes, would you have done the same thing? Would you have taken Love over Mendoza, considering it is Superflex? I know you hate the Las Vegas Raiders, so would that be in any kind of consideration for you, what Slim did here with Jeremiyah Love?
Well, what I'd like to see is where Love lands, but I also would do what I've said every step of the way. I'm trading this pick. KTC has it where I can get Tedorola McMillan, I can get Patrick Mahomes, I can get Amarian Hampton, and I can get Jackson Dart. Any one of those four players for the 101, I'm probably going to do that. I would have easily shopped it for those players, and and I know that it's like we know what Hampton's situation is in San Diego, or sorry, LA, right? I'm old. I forget things. But like what happens if Love ends up in Tennessee? I mean, I guess maybe they had a decent enough team, but like that means he falls to the second round, 9 chance out of 10. Obviously, if he ends up with the Bears, that's like the everybody's golden domer hope for Jeremiyah Love. But I also am like, I don't know. Like, will it stick? They're going to be playing a tougher schedule next year. Green Bay was really good against the run until they weren't. You know what I mean? So if Love ends up in a situation that I'm not hopeful for, I like him better than I like Ashton Genty, then and now. So if I can't make a move, then yeah, Jeremiyah Love is going to be the pick. Mostly because I don't like if Mendoza ends up in Vegas, man. I hate that the NFL ruins more players than we get, and I think that Mendoza, while a great kid, obviously I'm a Indiana Hoosier, not necessarily Indiana Hoosier supporter, because I just don't do that. Like, I don't really pull for anybody. You could tell by my NFL loves, because I don't have many. I just I'd love to see everyone be successful, but there's just not a good culture in Vegas. And if Mendoza goes there, I'm afraid he's going to get ruined. So,
Yeah, and we know he's going to play right away. I mean, that's it too. Like, you can't go into this thing like, I'll be shocked if he isn't playing right away. And if he isn't going to play right away, we're talking probably week 3 to 5, somewhere in there. People will be clamoring. The pressure will be on the new coach in Vegas. So yeah, Slim, like, I have no problem making this move. And I think as we go on, you might see more of this, especially as Bob said, if Love goes to a landing spot everyone finds preferable, I mean, you definitely could see him go to the top of the board. He has the talent to do it, right? I just think if I had to pick one player in this draft that I covet more than any, he's the guy.
So I'll just chime in here with Bob's trades. I enjoyed everything Bob said for trading for Mahomes and Tat and Dart, because I'm a big Dart believer still. I'm just not an Amari and Hampton fan, man. I think I would rather roll the dice with Jeremiyah Love than Amari and Hampton, and
Oh,
that's
Slim.
that's
Oh,
with
Slim.
a
I love it.
questionable landing spot. I think Jeremiyah Love's better than Amari and Hampton. That
Let me just do this. Let me just do this. Because you know what? I am not an Amari Hampton fan as well. And let me just say, he has to show me a little bit more as far as staying on the field and being healthy, right? That is a problem with Amari Hampton. And for whatever reason, it's a problem with the Chargers. But I do see where Bob's coming from. Look, it is a glorious situation for Hampton there, and we know he's there. And as he said, maybe Love lines up on Tennessee, and that would make anyone want to vomit, right? But we'll have to see how this plays out. But as of now, Jeremiyah Love, unquestionably, I think the prize of this draft, if you had to pick a prize, he's the guy, no doubt about it. Let's hop over here to the 102, and I'm picking at the 102. So I figured, you know what? Whatever Slim doesn't do, I will do. It's just going to have to go in that order. I am going to take Fernando Mendoza here out of Indiana, the quarterback at the number 2 spot. Most likely going 101 to the Raiders. I mean, it's definitely looking that way. I'd say there's probably a better than 80% chance that's the way it's going to fall. We know Dante Moore goes back to school there from Oregon, so he's not coming out this year. So really there isn't much of a debate needing a quarterback. Fernando Mendoza is going to be this guy. And as Bob said, I don't love the situation. I don't love where it's at right now. But if you cannot trade out of this pick, you're going to have to make this pick. It's the most logical pick, taking a quarterback in Superflex, especially the 101. We'll see what happens. I mean, one thing I know for sure, like if you do have Brock Bowers, Ashton Jenny, you got to have the hope that maybe, just maybe, you're going to be in a little bit better spot than you were with Geno Smith last year, and he can get the ball to these guys a little bit more prominently. And they do need to add pieces via free agency, whether that be offensive lineman, another receiver. They got to get this kid help because he'll absolutely get killed if they don't. But let me just say, it's not a high degree of confidence pick because you look at Fernando Mendoza, like very impressive what he's done. I'm not taking anything away from the kid. Like Bob said, I mean, down the stretch, he's been phenomenal, but he's really come out of nowhere this year, like, and really has elevated himself to this 101 spot, kind of similarly to what Joe Burrow did. Now, I'm not saying he's as good as Joe Burrow. Don't hear what I'm not saying, but it was kind of like that shot out of nowhere that no one's seen coming. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I do really have high hopes here, but with Vegas, anything's definitely possible as far as the negative side goes. But Fernando Mendoza right now is looking like the 101, 102 in most Superflex tight end premium type leagues, Bob. I think you have to agree, if you're stuck at this pick, you almost have to take him here and either try to trade him later or hope that Vegas can do something.
Well, like smelling a fart, right? You hope for a good smell, not necessarily something that's going to make you throw up. But what is ideal, in my opinion, what I'd love to see, and this will, go against contrary opinion probably, I'd like to see the Jets sneak a pick to the Raiders and swap spots. Because I think the Jets are a lot better prepared, even though they suck too, to take the quarterback on. I just think the offensive line's in a much better position. Maybe another player. Maybe they don't. Maybe they can, hornswoggle, one of their lesser picks just to bump up one spot. But I think Mendoza would be a lot better on the Jets. I don't disagree with the pick because of the format. I said the same thing about Ward last year. I would have taken him over Genty. And it's nothing against Mendoza, the player. I don't even know why I have such a slim margin of hope more for Tennessee than I have for the Vegas Raiders. But the black hole is a black hole. Tennessee's at least, sniffed the playoffs in my lifetime. You know what I mean? Like John Madden's not walking out onto the field to coach his team again. And Vegas is awful. So it's like, but whatever. I just, at 2, you could trade for Nico Collins, George Pickens if you want a wide receiver. If you've got the need for a QB, it is a curly hair difference between trading for Trevor Lawrence. His value's like on the rise. Now, I mean, obviously, you're going to be hoping that Trevor Lawrence has upgraded because what we've seen from him the last 4 years has not been the Trevor Lawrence we've seen this year. And if it's Liam Cohen and Liam Cohen's still there, I would be tickled pink to trade 102 for Trevor Lawrence, in my opinion. Brock Purdy is below. You probably could get maybe just a smidge of a plus. And this one I thought you would like, TJ. You could get Rashee Rice.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's why I'm glad you've done this, Bob, because this gives people ideas, right? Like this gives people players that they can put to trade value right now. And look, we know people are after picks right now. They're swapping this, they're swapping that. So if you don't feel comfortable picking, I like a lot of those names you brought up, right? These are guys like, I mean, too, like if you're going 102, you're trading to 102. George Pickens is a young guy, right? You're taking a chance there, but you got some years. Same thing with Trevor Lawrence. You're taking a chance, but you got some years. And I do like what Liam Cohen's doing down there in Jacksonville. So you can make a case for that. But I mean, if you are stuck at this pick, I mean, if Jeremiyah Love goes 101, you almost have to do this. And then, like I said, maybe you try to trade it later, do whatever you can. Value wise, as Bob said, the format just makes the most sense. But let's go over to the 103, Bob. 103 for you, and you can't trade it. You're stuck on the clock. This is like that old saying, no take back, no erases for Big Culture Bob. If you had to take one player at the 103, who you taking?
I think I like the record of Malachi Lemon better than I like of Jordyn Tyson. Tyson's health scares the crap out of me, right? And Lemon comes from the program that gives us quality wide receivers. You know, Michael Pittman, Jordan Addison. Of course, Jordan Addison wasn't there the whole time, but 1 year. Um, as soon as I started talking about Addison, my name blanked on the third guy I was thinking of. USC. Anybody,
Michael,
somebody.
Michael Pittman.
I said Pittman.
Michael Pittman, Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah, Amon-Ra St. Brown. That was it. So it's like they're kind of in the same mold, right? They're not super big guys. They are crafty. They get open. Malachi Lemon's going to have to fall in a good landing spot, just like any of these players. I don't think that he's a wide receiver one type, but I don't know that there's anybody in this draft that profiles as a wide receiver one. Exceptional one, I think, but he's got to land in the perfect spot, so I won't say his name yet. So yeah, I think that Malachi Lemon could be a PPR magnet, whether or not he's a one or not, like a Lad McConkey type plus, in my opinion. So that's where I would be. I could talk about who I would trade for now if you prefer, or I could wait till you guys circle around.
No, go ahead, Bob. You got the floor. So, like, I mean, you give us some values here. Who would be a value for the 103? And I do like the Malachi Lemon pick. We'll talk about it.
Okay, so Garrett Wilson, if you want to go straight wide receiver, right? Like we've seen what Garrett Wilson can do, and he's done it with trash QB play. And if my Mendoza thing comes into play, that would be ideal. But they're going to get somebody, whatever. Olave, if you like the risk, but I would probably just go with Wilson if I could get that done. And like we said, this was going to be a tight end premium draft. You can get Colson Loveland. That smells really good to me over a guy that I don't know where he's going to land, and I don't know if he's going to be successful in the NFL.
Okay, so Malachi Lemon, and I'm glad you brought up these names again, Bob. Thank you for doing that. Malachi Lemon is a guy that really has come onto the scene a little bit stronger this year. And, you know, like you said, Bob, USC is a wide receiver factory, right? Like they just produce them. That does give me a little bit more confidence. I mean, we talked about it, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Michael Pittman. I mean, we see these guys come out of this program, Jordan Addison. I mean, they got guys that can deliver on the NFL stage. I do like him as a player. I think it's a solid pick. And right now, as we sit here today, not watching any film, I do prefer him over the other two that we're going to be talking about shortly, right? I've watched all three of them play in person, right? And I just kind of am a Malachi Lemon fan. So I can agree with you on that. Slim, do you like the Lemon pick here from Bob?
I do, yeah. I mean, I was not to hint too much at my Nets pick, but I am going to be Nets right after Bob here again. And I mean, I was looking at wide receivers, honestly. Like, I mean, I just think that they're, it's the next step at that point. And Malachi Lemon out over the other two, he's the one that broke 1,000 yards. Now the problem that I have is the landing spot's got to be right, and for PPR machine, I just feel like that there's I don't know. I mean, he could be really good. It I'm drawn to, and it sometimes hurt, it sometimes helps, but I'm drawn to big bodied receivers, right? I don't know what it is, but I like the Drake Londons, the DK Metcalfs, the Tataroa McMillans. it seems like I'm always drawn to the guys that can win those jump balls or something versus the slot guys. And I mean, we've seen JSN and Puta do it this year, where they're the slot guys, the shifty guys, and both those guys led the league in receptions and yards and all that. So it might just be something that I need to change. But I watched Tyler Lockett play, and he's been a great player. He's 5'11", I believe, same as same as Lemon, I believe. Lemon's 5'11". So, and he's shown that he can do it. So but the only thing that I worry about is the NFL speed and whatnot too. The NFL, they hit harder, they hit faster. And to be 5'11", 195, that's small, man. You take a crack from a Nick Eamon worry across the middle, man. That's gonna hurt. That it's gonna hurt. So I worry about that. I think that's why I like bigger sized guys, and maybe they get hurt just as much. Probably, I'm probably just rambling, but I do agree that if you let Bob trade this pick, there was a name he didn't bring up that I'll bring up, and it's a Metro Ibuka. Keep Trade Cut has that as a 1-for-1 for the 103. I love a Metro Ibuka. I'm not sure Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are still there next year, and I think Ibuka could be a true wide receiver one.
Yeah, let me just say this though, and I agree with you said about the big wide receiver Slim, but I think in a class like this, I think you're going to go for the most talent as fast as you can, right? Like if you're at the top of the board, I'm going to go with the most talented guy. Like there isn't any huge difference, right? Like we go back to last year's film process. Like I clearly identified Ted McMillan as wide receiver one. In my opinion, he was my wide receiver one right away, right? Like I just don't see a dominator like that right now. Could they develop into that? Sure, but we've seen other guys like Xavier Legette, Keon Coleman, these project type guys that have the frame, but they just never really pan out. So, like, I'm going to go for the talent. And I do think Malachi Lemon, in my opinion, right now, pre-film, is the first receiver I'm taking off the board as well. So I like the pick for Bob. Slim, we're coming over here to you. I think you're going to revisit the wide receiver pool if I had to guess. Who's it going to be and why?
Yeah, I'm just closing my tabs for the guys that we've picked now. So there we go. All right, now can't be picking anybody. I can't be messing up the draft day here. And yeah, I'm gonna revisit the wide receiver pool, and there's two guys here, and I mean these are both bigger body guys that I kind of like. I mean Jordyn Tyson's here, 6'2", but I mean I think I'm gonna go the other way, and I'm gonna take Carnell Tate. Um, I watch a lot of Ohio State football, being an Ohio State fan. Lining up across the field from Jeremiyah Smith, man, Carnell Tate's got all the talent as well. And you want to talk about a program that cranks out wide receivers left and right. It's Ohio State University, man. That is wide receiver U, in my opinion. Um, I mean, just look at some of the top names that we get from Ohio State. You've got JSN, you've got Emeka Ibuka, Terry McLaurin's great, DJ Moore. It just goes on and on and on. And I believe that Carnell Tate's just the next one in line to follow that. Um, and the numbers don't jump off the screen. 52 receptions in 24, 51 receptions, no 1,000-yard season in college. But you got to remember he'd done that playing next to Jeremiah Smith as well. Um, and that's the main thing. But I just believe Carnell Tate. He's seen the NFL talent that he's going to go up against playing for Ohio State, and I believe he's probably the next best wide receiver off the board.
Yeah, I mean, look, and Bob brought it up with Tyson with the injuries, right? And we'll get into him here shortly. But Bob, I mean, look, if you were 1-for-1 making this pick right now, would you lean Tate over Tyson just because of the injury trouble?
Yeah, I like Tate over Tyson because of the injuries. Like Tate's the big body guy I think could be a one in this league. He's the one guy I think could be a one in this league. And it's the Tedero McMillan body type, right? Because he's big. But I don't know if it's the quote unquote dog in him or if it's just the players that he's played with have been more diva mentality or whatever. But Carnell Tate has been the 1B the whole time, where, ironically, what happened to Marvin Harrison, I don't know, but he played with Tate for a while. Emeka Ibuka plays with Tate for a while. Jeremiah Smith plays with Tate for a while. And all of them, Tate's been second or third fiddle behind. Does that mean that he's not the talented guy? I don't know. Maybe he's just not the diva mentality that feels like they have to have the ball all the time. I don't know. But I think he's the one guy that when I look at how he plays and his body type, I think he can A, live up to the punishment, B, be the guy that goes up and gets the ball all the time, a la Ted McMillan, Mike Evans, that type of player. And Tyson, man, his body, I don't know. It just gives me the heebie-jeebies, man. I don't think has he completed a whole season yet? I think I heard that he missed like 41% of his games or whatever. Like his potential games, I think he missed 41% of them. That's insane. That's like, and it's like, I've also heard that he's not super excited about, when he knows the ball's not going his way, he doesn't show up. So like when that happens, man, it rubs offensive coordinators and head coaches the wrong way. And staffs and, you got to be able to be there to block for your running backs and things like that. And like, I don't know, does this guy show up? You know what I mean? So I'm not a big fan of Tyson. Obviously, he's got to go here sometime because there is talent there. It's just whether or not he's going to put it all together and stay healthy.
Yeah, and that is a big deal. And you look at Carnell Tate compared to a Tyson, right? It's like, are you okay with being one of the guys, or do you have to be the guy? Right? That's really what it comes down to. And you look at Carnell Tate, as Bob mentioned, Slim mentioned, played second fiddle, had no problem doing that. And like we've seen Ohio State second fiddlers come onto the scene and do well, right? Chris Olave rings a bell. Emeka Ibuka last year come onto the scene fairly strong at some points. So I mean, I expect Carnell Tate to continue that Ohio State wide receiver tradition, no doubt about it. But we're going to come over here to me now with the 105, and I'm going to go ahead and do it. I'm going to go ahead and take Jordyn Tyson, right? Like, these are the top three receivers on the board right now out there, guys. If you're not familiar with it, it's Malachi Lemon, it is Carnell Tate, and it is Jordyn Tyson, right? These are the guys that are kind of in that tier right now, pre-film, until we break it all down. As Bob mentioned, he can be freaky type athlete, but we talk about the injuries. You're taking a chance here, right? But I do feel better taking him at 105 than I do at taking him at 103 because there is a little bit of a difference between the 105 and 103 when it comes to dynasty perspective, right? If you're probably picking up around 103, you're probably there for a good reason. You're probably pretty bad, right? You got a bad team. 105, you could have simply had a bad season, right? Maybe you just didn't make the playoffs. Maybe you had injuries. Maybe your team's getting closer, but it's not quite there yet. You take a chance on a ceiling player like Jordyn Tyson, and that's what you're doing here. You're taking a chance at a pure ceiling type move. I mean, the injuries are a concern, but the ability is there. He has to shake that diva mentality, as we talked about, right? Maybe we'll see more of it on tape. Maybe we'll see less of it. But Arizona Sun Devils as well. I mean, this is a conference that isn't as prominent. Like, I'm not picking on it. We talk about it a lot, but you look at Carnell Tate going up against the Big Ten type of guys, right? That matters in my eyes. You look at USC, Malachi Lemon going up against the Big Ten type of guys. That matters in my eyes. So maybe I'll fall in love with Jordyn Tyson a bit more when you watch the film and maybe get through the process with the combine as far as, what we hear in the offseason. And we got how many months until the draft? Maybe he goes up the board, maybe he goes down. But I'm just going to say, as I sit here today, I would much rather take him at 105. I feel a lot safer doing that, and that's where I'm at with that. We don't get to spend a lot of time with Tyson because we just talked about him a little bit. I kind of got everyone's thoughts and feelings on it, but we're going to come over here to the next pick, and it's you, Big Culture Bob, sitting here at 106. This is tight end premium. Does a tight end come off the board, or do you go another direction?
So I really didn't give my trades for 104 or 105, but yeah, so there's guys that I would take. But no, 105 would probably be where I'd have had Tyson. But this is me for 106. I don't know. Like so I'll tell you this. will typically draft my RBs in rookie drafts. So I'm going to go out here on a limb and hope that it all comes together for Justice Haynes. Out of Michigan, I think that when he was at Alabama, I thought that he was like just I don't know whatever reason Alabama running backs just haven't like put it together lately. Haynes has a really good year up in Michigan, but not awesome. You know, it was I don't know better than average, I guess. Um, I'm trying to find some kind of a blurb or whatever on him, but I can't find anything that tickles my fancy. But I do, you know, he's a legacy player. His dad was in the league, Pittsburgh Steeler, right? Vernon Haynes,
Yep.
right? I thought so. So yeah, he's the guy that I would entertain here. I just don't. This whole draft, man, makes me nauseous. So it's like I'm stumbling over my own words. But at 106. I thought you'd really like this, TJ. You could trade the 106 straight up for Brian Thomas Jr.
Oh yeah,
Like,
I that in a heartbeat, Bob. Absolutely.
right, right. So, and then like if you were desperate for QB, Cam Ward showed enough, I think, at the end of the year that I'm not opposed to throwing a 106 for Cam Ward. And then last but not least, another TJ favorite, a little jacket owner guy, is Chase Brown. Like if you needed a running back, you could trade 106 for Chase Brown right off the bat. Like these are guys I would take easily over the 106 and Justice Haynes.
All right, Justice Haynes out of Michigan, and you are right. You know, Vernon Hayes or Veron Hayes, however you say it, yes, was with the Steelers. Great third down back in his time with the Steelers was Hayes. And I'll tell you this, man, one thing about this guy is I do like him from the perspective of I think that he is a solid player, as you mentioned, Bob. I think you're going to get a solid player here. I don't think you're going to get a world beater, but you know, kind of reminds me in the ilk of like can do a little bit of everything. So I like that in his game too. He can run between the tackles. He's a decent little pass catcher. So getting him where you got him, I don't mind that whatsoever. Slim, what do you think about Haynes here for Bob at 106? Any objection before we move on?
Man, that's oh man. I don't know on that one. Honestly, man. I have you know me, I'm the running back guru and I got guys ahead of him. So I mean I'm happy because he didn't take one of my running back guys. So I mean it works, but I don't know, man. It's he's only had one season over 100 carries. Like there's some tape on it, I guess, but it just it's that
Finishes
weird
the year
process.
finishes the year with 6 of 7 games over 100 yards.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I
And
get, you know,
he was injured a little bit this year. So yeah, I mean that's the thing too. Like that's the Alabama problem, right? Like he comes into Alabama and he was very highly thought of and Alabama just is not Nick Saban's Alabama anymore. You know, it's like you know, it's like, you know, we all thought Jalen Milroe was going to be something exciting last year, and look what happened to that. Not a little bit of nothing. So, like, and he's, you know, whatever. That's obviously a different position, but like, we're not getting much of anything from Alabama like what we used to. So, Justice Hayes transfers, has a year where he's injury riddled, but again, 6 out of 7 games with 100 yards.
We'll take it. Bob says he'll take it at 106
all
if he
right.
can't trade it. So that would
If I can't trade it.
that's right. That's the player he'd be looking at if he can't move out of that slot. So Slim 107. Bob leaves some players here at some different positions. He went running back. Where are you going?
Yeah, it's weird because I thought he would take one of my two guys, and I was just like, well, I'll just take the other one, and then he doesn't. Throws a curveball, and now I'm, you know, there's not a lot of guys that we're excited about in this draft, and I mean I get it, but it. Man, I just
This isn't
can't get
going to
off
any of
the
our
running
teams, Slim.
backs,
It'll be
man. I
okay.
want to. I'm gonna take another running back. It's gonna be Nicholas Singleton, man. Nick Singleton out of Penn State. That's where I'm gonna go. I realized he's had a lot of carries. He's had a lot of carries for Penn State. I realized, you know, and it's that thing that like we don't like to see sometimes. We don't like to see them get a lot of carries in college, right? Because they're like, oh, how much tread's left on the tires? People forget Derrick Henry had a lot of carries in college, you know, out of Alabama, and he's still doing it. I mean, he kind of fell off at the end of this year, but he's he's done it at a high level multiple years. And I mean, I not to throw shade at Bob's pick, but I don't know. I think Singleton might be a better running back. I think, he might have missed on that one. But I mean, he's had 2 years over 1,000 yards. He can carry the ball 170 times a year. That, great numbers. Uh, double digit touchdowns in every year but 1 year. I mean, what
Fell
else
off the
could you want
map
from a
behind
guy?
a plotter. Can't.
What?
What's his name? Who am I talking about?
Katron.
Katron Allen fell behind Katron Allen his senior year in high school or college or whatever. Yeah, he's an all-world athlete. I'll give you Nicholas Singleton as an all-world athlete. Maybe in college he'll put it all together, but I don't know if he's the same quality player as Justin Haynes is, but that's fine. I would trade out all these picks. I've got my shares of Singleton too. I mean, and in all honesty, every mock draft that I've seen has Singleton fall into the second round. So you taking him here at 8, or wherever we're at, tickles my fancy. I'm like, okay, great, 7. But I'm not. I guess I cut you off, but even still, here's one for you, Slim. I put this on the board. You can get Kyle Pitts for the 107. Look at that.
I mean, that's,
in tight end premium. Woo!
Yeah, well, I mean, and I was looking at the tight end here too, but I just couldn't pull the trigger, man. I love one tight end on this board, and he's probably not going to fall back to me, but that's fine. But even just I'm looking at the stats, 2024, he had 41 receptions. I would assume that this is a PPR league that we're talking about as well.
Yeah, of
Who
course.
was that guy out of San Diego State that led all of the world in receptions and yards or whatever? Was that Smallwood? Is that who I'm talking about? Went to Philly.
Could have been, yeah.
Yeah, college statistics don't make much sense or matter. You know what I mean? It's wonderful, that they did something, but man, and I like Singleton. I feel like I'm throwing shade on a dude I actually like, but I don't know, man. This whole draft is riddled with players I'd rather just not have.
Well, in an instance where Slim, takes him like this, I mean, he could come up the board. I mean, we talk about it. There isn't no sure.
He's going to shine at the combine because he's an all-world athlete.
Oh, 100%. And that's
I think
the thing.
that'll raise his stock too. I mean, the coaches put a lot into the combine, and if he goes out there and balls out, I think he raises up a lot of coaches' draft boards. Because as you said, he's just a pure athlete, and I guess that's more what I'm banking on too, is that just the athletic talent of the guy more than anything.
I think Xavier Worthy's a really good athlete too.
He won the underwear Olympics, no doubt about it. But we'll see with Nick Singleton, right? I mean, he is a player. Does he go up? Does he go down? We'll see where it's at. Slim's a running back guy, so he's going to go with him at 107. So he left me with no choice at 108. This is tight end premium. I'm going to take Kenyon Sadiq out of Oregon. And let me just say this right now, man. What I really like about this kid is, and I've got to see a lot of Oregon games or whatever this year, and I don't know what the deal is with that, but very good blocker too, right? And I can never say enough good about that when you see a tight end prospect coming out for the NFL, because if you can do that, if you can be a good blocker, you're going to be on the field a lot more, right? They have no reason to take you off. You're good in the run packages, you're good in pass protection, and you're also just a good solid route runner, which I think Kenyon Sadiq really is, right? I know a team like the Rams, I think he would have been a great fit there. I mean, they did take Ferguson, the other Oregon tight end, but I think that this kid, man, has a chance to make some noise here in the NFL. And it being tight end premium, he is clear cut to me as I sit here today, the best tight end in this draft. Again, we got to watch the tape. We got to solidify all that for sure. But from where I'm at and knowing what I know, seeing what I've seen up to this point, I like Sadiq. What do you think about that pick, Slim? Was that crossing your mind then before you took Singleton?
It was, but it's funny that Bob brought it up that I could trade that pick that I had for Kyle Pitts, and I like Kyle Pitts a little bit better than Sadiq. So I mean, I'm sitting there thinking okay, if I'm not trading the pick at all, I just don't want to take the tight end that I don't like as much as the tight end I could trade for. But I didn't want to trade for Chase Brown. So I'd rather take a flyer on Singleton, test the athletic of him, and do it. So that was kind of my thought process. But this is definitely the best tight end off the board, in my opinion. And I don't think it's relatively close. I mean, I've got my eye on one other tight end because it's tight end premium, but not a great tight end class that I'm seeing so far. But I haven't watched a lot of tape either. But this, you definitely got the number one tight end off the board.
What do you think of Kenyon Sadiq, Bob? The little that you know about him, again, right? I'm not holding any of you guys to any of this until we watch the film, but what you know of him, like how I mentioned, I mean, he does look like the best tight end. Can you agree with that? And do you think this makes sense? And do you think maybe even if he does a little bit better in the film process, he might elevate himself a little bit more in a class like this?
Yeah, he's crazy athletic for sure. The guy, I think he was like the number 4 athlete like in the class as he was coming out as a high school senior or whatever. So he came out very athletic. Um, it's just my thing with, and it's like, I know tight end premiums or whatever, like you gotta take shots at it, right? And this is the appropriate time. So I'm not ever gonna dish a pick. But like he's gotta fall into a system that uses the tight end. Um, even if he's the best blocking tight end in the league or whatever, right? And I mean, we would think Seattle is a team that uses the tight end, and they wasted a second round pick on Arroyo, right? And didn't even use the guy. AJ Barner ends up turning out to kind of be the guy, quote unquote. But like, who knows? Like if he lands in Kansas City and Kelsey retires or stays on in a what's the word I'm looking for, like a mentoring role or whatever, and you got Sadiq, as Kansas City's new whoopee for Patrick Mahomes, freaking balls deep, right? They go for it. But like if he ends up in like I don't know, I'm trying to think of a team that I just don't ever see using the tight end. Um, cha 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 cha. Cincinnati. Like Cincinnati is very rarely a tight end team, but it's because they're overloaded on offense, wide receivers. Miami up until, Tyreek Hill's gone, so, or if he falls behind somebody, like if Arizona gets him in the second round for some stupid reason, like what are they going to do with that? Who knows? Um, we see people take stupid players all the time. Um, Tampa Bay, like if Tampa Bay grabs him, like he falls that far, you would think that they'd have to use him, but like as many wide receiver options as they have, are we excited about it? His profile to me is going to have to land on the right team, and B, um, just I think I may have added my A and B together in my brain and said it all one thing, but you get my point. It's going to have to be the right situation.
Yeah, and it's a good point because we've seen like Dalton Kincaid, your Kyle Pitts, people like out of the past that have underwhelmed, right? They haven't gone to teams that really utilize those tight ends, and that does matter. And I think as far as like target quality, as Bob said, right? I mean, there's other guys there, like other great receivers. Maybe that diminishes his game too. Could be a really landing spot dependent player as far as like maybe he is the 108 or 109, or if he does go to the right team, maybe he shoots up to like right around that 5'6" range, right? That's entirely possible. So we'll see. And he definitely, as of today, is the best athlete at the tight end position and maybe overall best tight end. Again, we ought to watch the film as we sit here today. He's got to be that guy. All right, let's go over to the 109. Coming back over to you here, Bob. What do you have for us at the 109?
So I'm going to do what I did with the RB situation before. I'm going to go ahead and take Emmett Johnson out of Nebraska. I think that he came along pretty well last year. I think he led the P4 in rushing. This says he's got a do-it-all skill set. It's appealing to a number of teams. So he's got a few concerns with his athleticism and his size, unlike Nicholas Singleton. But we've seen smaller guys, aka Bucky Irving and stuff, do it in the league. So it's like I'm not worried about how big he is. If the team drafts him, like we thought Caleb Johnson would be okay. You know what I mean? Not terrible like he is, but okay. And that was obviously not the right situation. But like, if I could trade out of this pick and I wanted to get a quarterback, I can get Jared Goff. If I wanted to get a running back, I can get Travis Etienne. Um, I didn't write down anything for a wide receiver or whatever, but I only wrote two down players. But like either one of those players to me would be a fine pick over this situation. Now, obviously, depending on when we do our rookie drafts, right? If we're doing them pre pre free agency or whatever, and I don't know where ATN's going to go, I might just roll the dice with them at Johnson. Depends on where we are in the play, but you get my point. I'm pretty much out on most of these players, but I think I would roll with a guy that's led the P4 in rushing.
Okay, Emmett Johnson, definitely interesting. And, that is really, I mean, from the standpoint of like, if you could do that at that level, right, that is impressive. Again, like, there's just such a conglomerate of running backs in this draft that are, to me, average or below average. And it's going to be sifting through them to find out what's average and what's below average, right? That's what it's going to take through the film process. But right now, any of these guys, your Nick Singletons, your Emmett Johnsons, like they could catapult themselves up the board a little bit as far as like, right, like how we feel about them in the film process. How high do they get taken in the draft? What team do they go to? All that matters. So like, I just think that there's a hair's gap between a lot of these guys, and we'll find out the BS, right? I mean, maybe one of these guys dropped to almost the third round and we're picking them at the end of the first round right now. Like that's how close it really is. And we'll see. We'll go through it. Like I said, I can't wait for the film, but he is a player right now that's a little higher on pre-draft boards, right? I mean, he's someone that is not really projected to go anywhere lower than the high end of the second round to where Bob picked him right here. He's somewhere in this range, and that will fluctuate. Maybe it'll change. We'll see. We'll go over here now to the next pick. Slim, coming back to you, the 110. Or are you taking it to 110 here?
Yeah, I just want to say I might have gave Bob a lot of shit for that last pick that he done, but this pick I really love this pick, honestly, man. Um,
Oh, giving Bob
I
his flowers.
no, yeah, no, I am, yeah. Emmett Johnson, man, he's I think he's got a lot of heart. He's got a lot of skill, and I think he's a great running back. And I mean, I was thinking that I wouldn't even have to take him in the first round here, So I was thinking that would be like just an honorable mention. Maybe he'd slip out of the first round, and I'd pick him up early in the second. But obviously Bob's already calling him out. He knows some of his running back stuff, even though he shops at Dollar Tree for his running backs. He knows them. He knows them, and I think that's a great pick, man. I think the kid's got a lot of heart. He's got a lot of talent. So I do like that a lot. All right, but man, and this is like I think Bob's been saying it all day, and like I haven't said it as much, but we're at the what are we at 110? Is that where I'm at sitting at now?
110. Yep.
Okay, well let me see if I can get my thing here to work. Can I not? There it is. Okay, let's see. I was just because this is really to the point where I would be trading this away. Like if I'm sitting at the 110, obviously I just need one piece to get up over the hump in a 12 team. Uh, 110 for Josh Jacobs, sold. You know, in a super flex with Jared Goff, sure, why not? I mean the wide receivers here is Zay Flowers and Jalen Waddle. I don't know if I love either one of those choices, and I was the hugest Waddle supporter forever, and now I just have been burnt too many times. I think if I'm gonna take somebody here, it's gonna be Chris Bell, just to out of Louisville. I mean, 6'2", 220. He kind of fits that profile that I like. Big body receiver. That's just what I like. He runs a 4.4, so pretty quick for his height as well. 220 is a great weight for him, and he's just short route running, intermediate, deep. He does it all relatively well. I think he could use some more technique on the blocking on the edge, man. I'd like to see him get a little more physical, especially because he is a larger guy. Get a little more physical on the edge and do some more blocking. Um, but I mean, it's just not a 43 receptions, 737 yards. He's more of a deep threat guy, in my opinion. But he uh he shows that he can, show up in the big games, man. He torched Pittsburgh for 101 yards. He had 9 grabs for 112 against Stanford, man. So I think he's got that mentality of a wide receiver that I want him to have. 72 receptions, 900 yards, six tutties. I think if I'm not going to trade this pick for somebody else and I need a receiver, then this is where I'm going to go and take a shot here.
All right. So, what do you think of this pick here from Slim? Chris Bell, wide receiver out of Louisville. I know Jeff Brom, the head coach there, had some real buzz as far as getting hired maybe to a bigger job, right? Was getting all kinds of interview requests, this and that. This team kind of looked good at points this year, Louisville, and I think Bell was a solid part of that here. Bob, what's your thoughts? Do you think that he's worthy of a selection here at the back end of this first round where Slim got him?
Well, Slim gave me crap in the first round about my little Justice Hayes thing, so I'm going to go ahead and just give him a little bit of backlash here. I would have taken Denzel Boston if I wanted a big bodied wide receiver out of Washington. Like Chris Bell out of Louisville doesn't thrill me nearly as much as Boston does. Boston's huge and like legitimately that guy, I think, over Bell for sure. But you
Hey,
know,
it's throwing darts at this point. Again, like I said, got to watch the tape. And, that's going to be the fun part, right? Like we talked about. There's guys we're higher on, maybe lower on, and we'll definitely go through it. But again, we're just introducing a lot of these guys that are probably going to be towards the top of boards to our listeners out there for the first time. So we'll hop over here to me at the 111, right? So I'm going to go with a wide receiver. I'm going to go with KC Concepcion from Texas A&M. Look, more of a slot shifty guy, right? Getting away from Slims, more of, and Bob talked about it with Boston, right? These bigger type X guys. This guy's a guy that can go all over the formation. Look, I feel like at 111, right? Like I can afford to take a chance. As Slim said, maybe you're trying to trade this pick to a contender or being a contender to a bad team, trying to get, a more proven player. I absolutely would try that. If you can't do that, right, I'm okay with go ahead and taking a guy with some upside. I feel like KC is a guy that can give you that. I mean, this is an ultimate gamble of gambles, but if you're picking at 111 and it busts out for you, it's one of them things that I don't think is going to kill you. But Bob, Slim, you know how it is, right? Every draft we have a guy like this, whether it's Xavier Worthy, whether it's Travis Hunter, right? There's people that want to take chances on these flashy players. And you guys know what I always say, right? Don't go for the lures. So the fish always get hooked by the flashy lures, right? That's what I always say. And this could be another one of them type of guys. But I mean, just from a value standpoint, Bob, I'll start with you. Could this be a guy that you could see come up the board? Because you talked about Singleton maybe doing well in the combine type things. I could see this guy doing it as well.
yeah, he's pretty speedy and very shifty. So he's just not big, but like he's not. I mean, he's a unique guy, right? All around slot play weapon. This actually says it. The guy says it reminds him of Percy Harvin, which it's hard to, Percy Harvin was a good player. So that's high praise. Yeah, I've heard a lot of circles around KC Concepcion about like he's very, you know, very good after the catch, and so it's like, yeah, I mean, if it combines right, lands in the right spot, then sure, like it's just I think we both, I don't know. We'll get to my pick here in a minute. So, but yeah, he could easily move up, and I think it's going to be an athleticism thing with Concepcion, though. Um, he's played well, this year because obviously Texas A&M needed him, and they played a really good season. So yeah, it's not a bad pick.
Yeah, and this is a guy to watch, right? I mean, like when we go through these names, when we get to the combine, right? Like we've seen it. Like these are the guys that can jump from the second, third round projections, maybe into the first round. I mean, I don't always agree with it, but people just love the athleticism. So coming over here now to you, Bob, the 112. This is the end of the first round. We're going to speed pick the second round. What do you have for us at 112?
So I'm going to mention the guy that I talked about already, Denzel Boston. 6'4", 209 pounds, projects as a big X wide receiver. I you know, 834 yards and 9 TDs in 2024. So he sticks around in Washington. So he stuck with the one school. He didn't go with Caleb DeBoer. Does anybody know who Washington's quarterback was? Because I can't remember it. And Denzel Washington had a pretty good year with that quarterback play. So, whatever the case may be, Washington seems to put out relatively decent wide receivers. He's actually David Boston's son, so like another legacy player. Maybe I've got a thing for that. I don't know, but like I wasn't super high on Marvin. Well, I liked Marvin Harrison a lot, but whatever. So I think I just like the bigger body guys, like as a Slim was talking about, but at 12, like we talked about already, this is a place where I could trade for Michael Wilson straight up. And we've talked how I like Michael Wilson a whole lot as far as, this draft goes. And, you know, Kyle Monungai, if you're searching for a running back, Charbonnet, if you're searching for a running back, because Walker's gone, maybe Charbonnet becomes the lead dog. Um, that would be, that would be where I would go. I do like a couple running backs here, and maybe I would go that way depending on how my squads are built. But I do like Denzel Boston.
The big guy, Slim, so we got through the tape watch, and Slim will be siphoning through that stuff like you wouldn't believe. Those big X-type wide receivers. Bob is a big Boston guy. He practices what he preaches, no doubt about it. So, Slim, we're coming over here to you right now. We're going to start the second round. Speed pick. Don't need much of an explanation, and we won't talk about it, right, as much because these guys are just guys we're introducing to the listeners as far as the prospects that are most likely going to be coming out here in 2026